Thank you for using Dapper with your Sony A15 Walkman. The A15 Walkman has two different storage locations, and because of how it shares those storage locations with your Mac, and because of how it does playlists, there's some things that you need to know. First of all, there's two different storage locations. There's the internal storage on the Walkman itself, and there's potentially a micro SD card that you plug into the side of the Walkman. Now, it turns out that only one of those storage locations can actually show up on your Mac at one time. So if you plug that Sony device into your Mac, you'll notice that a single disk drive will load. It's either the internal disk drive that shows the internal storage of the Sony, that's normally called Walkman, or it's the SD card storage in that Walkman, in which case it'll show up as SD card. So the first thing is, when you plug in your Walkman, only one of those two areas is actually going to show up on your Mac at any one time. The second has to do with storage locations and the storage of songs. So what Dapper is going to do is it's going to split your artists across the internal storage or the external storage. And so in this particular example, I have artists A through I on the internal storage and J through Z on the external storage. But I may have a particular playlist that includes all of them. So this rock playlist, for example, references artists on both the left and the right-hand card. Now, one of the problems is when we copy these playlists over to the Sony device, the playlist can only contain the music that is on the same storage location as the actual playlist file itself. So what we essentially do is we take that playlist and we split it into two separate playlists. So you'll see that for any single playlist you have in Dapper, or in your iTunes library, it's going to show up as two separate playlists in that Sony. You'll have one that has an I on it, which shows you that it's the internal version of the playlist, and one with O on it, which references the external version of the playlist. Unfortunately, this is a Sony limitation, and so this is the best that Dapper can do. So let's talk about how to choose which storage is actually connected to your Mac. In order to do this, the first thing you need to do is eject the DAP. Go into the Finder, drag the DAP icon into the trash to eject the particular drive. Next, you're going to unplug your DAP so that you get access to the DAP controls of the Sony. You'll then go to the SD card settings. It's the icon at the bottom in the middle that looks like a micro SD card, and you'll click on it. You'll then go to the SD card settings menu and choose Storage for File Transfer. You're essentially going to select which areas of storage are going to be used to transfer files to and from your Mac. And then inside of that, you're going to select the location for USB transfer. And inside of that, you'll be able to choose system storage or SD card. So in order to switch from one to the other, you're essentially going to eject the disk from your Mac. You're going to unplug your DAP so you can get back to the main menu. Go to SD card, select storage for file transfer, choose the location for USB transfer, and then either select the system storage or the SD card. And essentially what that will do is it will switch. If you have system storage selected and you plug it into your Mac, you're going to see the system storage show up as a drive. If you have SD card selected and you plug it into your Mac, you're going to see the SD card show up as a drive on your Mac. So what you're going to do next is, since you're in the setup of this DAP, we want you to first go ahead and make sure that system storage is currently selected. You should see a Walkman disk that is mounted on your Mac. If that's not the case, go ahead and eject the disk that is mounted on your Mac from your DAP. Go ahead and unplug it. Go into SD card settings, storage for file transfer, location of the USB transfer, and select, in this particular case, system storage first. What's going to happen is that the next thing that will happen inside of Dapper is you're asked to select drive 1. You want to make sure that the system storage is selected, and you're going to select the Walkman drive that then shows up on your Mac. What will happen next is that it's then going to ask you to select the SD card. And so we'll make sure that the SD card is selected by ejecting the disk, unplugging the DAP, going into SD card settings, storage for file transfer, location of USB transfer, and selecting SD card and plugging the DAP back in. Then you will essentially select that as your second DAP drive. It'll probably be called SD card. And at that point, you've told Dapper what the first drive is called, typically Walkman. Also, you've selected the second drive, which is typically SD card. And at that point, you can continue on your merry way in terms of the Dapper setup. While Dapper is syncing, it will sometimes ask you to switch storage. Every time it syncs, it's going to check what's in iTunes, and it's going to check what's in the internal storage of your Walkman, and what is on that SD card in your Walkman. And when it does so, it's going to ask you to switch drives. It'll give you some settings and show you how to do that. So it will give you a text-based version of this video, but it's important for you to know how to switch to drive locations on the fly when your DAP is syncing.